Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today is an extra special day, but we're going to keep that close to us until the end of the episode. So you stay with us because not only do we have a very special announcement, but this is going to be a really packed episode, which Coinky Deek, I remember a couple years ago, we also did an email, what more marketing focused episode. So we're going to be talking about email, but more on the operational aspect in terms of pretty sure you might feel like you're drowning in all the emails that everybody's been sending you in your travel agency. So we're going to kind of break down how to make that a little bit easier. And we actually have an amazing guest with us today, Mary Beth Lynn, founder of Assistants That Work. So first time on the podcast, I'm super excited to have you here, Mary Beth. We're going to dive into all the things and then, of course, spoil the amazing thing that's happening this next week. So welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Rita. I'm so excited to get to be here and talk about how advisors can start getting out from the overwhelm of their inboxes because I used to feel like I was drowning in it. I remember like falling asleep and being like, I hope I saw all the emails that were important. I hope I didn't miss anything. And like then I'd wake up at 4 a.m. being like, did I deal with this one email? And it's a miserable place to be and live.
Oh yeah. Because it was a couple years ago that I started like putting in folders in my own inbox, and I'm like, I can't. And I love when I'm able to like purge and like unsubscribe from lists so that there's not that many because the important emails are from any clients or like any relationships that you're building. But I know I'm already like getting into it. Before we get officially into it, for people who might not know you, like what's your background in the industry? How long have you been here? And what exactly do you do through Assistants at Work?
So I have been in the industry for, let's see, it's 2025, right? Okay. So for 8 years, might be nine, honestly,
Mhm.
can't remember for sure. And I own a travel agency. And my experience was one where I got in the industry, I loved it. I started putting tons of my time and energy into it. It also was at the same time that we were dealing with situations of figuring out we thought that life was going to look very different. I wanted to be in the industry so I could work part-time and have kids and all of those things, but life does not always work out how we planned or
Yeah.
want. And so when that wasn't happening, then I just like threw myself into my business even more. Probably a very poor coping skill, to be honest. And ended up in a place where like I was winning awards and my business was growing and all these things, but I was drowning and working 60 to 80-hour weeks every single
Oh
week. Had
no.
no idea what a real vacation was anymore because I would spend it working. Um, Even if it was like a vacation for an anniversary, whatever. And eventually at one point my husband sat me down on the gold couch in our living room and was like, no. Like we had a very real serious conversation and I remember like literally feeling like my entire life was crashing down around me. And by the end of that conversation, I realized I had a very clear like fork in the road choice moment of I either have to I either have to give up the success, all these things I'm pursuing, and start to get control and focus on workflows and systems and having an assistant help me, or I can continue with what I'm doing, but I will ruin my marriage, I will ruin friendships, I will ruin relationships with family members that I love. And it was like a very, very rude awakening. So we decided I had 6 months to figure my shit out,
Mhm.
honestly. And if I could not, I was going to leave the industry and
Uh-huh.
be done. And obviously service my clients that were booked, but I would not be taking anything new. And thankfully, I was able to do that. I did. And then the thing that just blew my mind was I was convinced I was like gonna make less. I'm going to not be growing anymore. But it was the thing that propelled my business forward like nothing had ever done. And I was growing by 200% year over year. Like in 2020, in the pandemic, I grew by 28%, which was wild because no one was growing, but I actually grew that year. Um, and so it completely changed my life. And after a number of years, people were constantly being like, "Can you help me hire an assistant? Can you help me with this?" And I was running out of time to do all of that. And I was able to get to the point where my business was growing, but I was able to work as little as 20 hours a week
Hmm.
instead of the 60 to 80, which was the goal and was amazing. But then everybody was like, we need help. And so that's when assistance at work happened because I was like, okay, well, I cannot individually help every single one of you, but somebody's like, just make us a course. So that's when we started Assistance at Work. So our signature program is Systems and Assistance at Work, and we help agents essentially get their crap together because most of the time we want to bring in help, but everything's a disaster because we're
Right,
just surviving and treading water.
right.
And so a lot of times we think just hiring an assistant is the solution, but really that's just like asking somebody to jump in without a life raft and kind of try to help us, and we might accidentally drown them with us instead of like a lifeboat. So our whole goal in the program is to help agents really walk through setting things up so that they can truly succeed with their assistant.
Perfect. Yeah, because I remember we had a conversation around prep for Wave Week time at study hall, and that was a huge topic of discussion where a lot of advisors like wanted to get started with assistants, but they weren't ready or they started a little too early. So like for you thinking about that, like going from a 60-hour work week to like a 20-hour work week, what would you say that took to go from that workload to and whittle you down to that 20 hours?
A huge, huge part of it was like a major mindset shift. Not
Okay.
just like I'm going to work less. Yes, I had to have that shift, but the biggest thing was realizing that like if I continued what I was doing, nothing would change.
Hmm.
And so I had to do
Oh,
things different was when I realized like, okay, what are my bottlenecks? What are my problems? And the reality was I was the problem. I had some parts of my workflow, but it was not detailed and like it should have been. And
okay.
I didn't have as many systems and processes in place. And before that, I had tried like project-based assistance and stuff like that, but nobody that worked with me day in and day out and was consistent.
Hmm.
And I had to really change things so that adopted like inside ATW, we teach the review instead of do method because the reality is, if you don't have systems and processes in place to review what your assistant is doing, you're abdicating your role. You're not delegating. A lot of advisors, they're like, I am so afraid of like somebody else helping in my business, and what if they make a mistake? It's one of the most common reasons people don't hire an assistant is that fear of letting go of control. But that's actually the wrong way to do it. It's what a lot of people do, but what we should be doing is not abdicating a role, but delegating and having a process in place where we are easily able to quickly review their work
Yeah,
and make sure it's accurate. Because I'm still the agent. My assistant is not the agent on that booking. It's
right.
still my responsibility ultimately.
Right. And for people who are kind of like, I'm not really sure what I should be giving away, like, can you just give a couple of examples of those things that you can delegate? Because I love that you put that there too. It's abdicating, not delegate. Because I feel like that sometimes when advisors get in their head about hiring on assistants or at least like somebody to help with some of their workload, they're like, okay, now I don't have to do anything. And I'm like, "Well, wait a sec. That's not what this is."
No, an assistant is not let me dump all these things I don't like on you and you're going to take care of it. That
Yeah.
is like the biggest way to disaster because essentially that's like you have a house, and let's say you have a two-bedroom house and you've grown and you are like, I need more space. If you just dump the stuff on someone and you're not still involved, still reviewing instead of doing, it's like you ask somebody to back up their travel trailer to your house and now you're putting all this stuff in there. They're not going to be with you forever. They
Mhm.
eventually are going to leave. And
Yeah.
when they do, then now you have all this stuff with nowhere to go. And that's why we have to have a plan and processes in place because then that's like we put an addition onto our house. And then we invited somebody to come stay.
Hmm.
and to use that room to help us and those types of things. It's a very different mentality
Yeah.
because we want to own our business. So I am a huge proponent in like, you have to have a written workflow before you hire someone. Gonna
Hmm.
be honest, if you don't, you're doing it wrong. You
Yeah.
are wasting your money, you're throwing it down the drain, and eventually it will burn you bad.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for people because when you're drowning, you feel like, well, I don't have time to do that. But if we don't actually make the time, and it's different for everyone, I kid you not, in that 6 month period, I was waking up at 4 and 5 a.m. every single day.
Oh
And
my
I would work
God.
from that until about 8, 7:30 or 8, and then I would switch to my normal travel that was a 10 to 12 hour day because I had no other choice. It's like I still have these clients. I did also stop taking as many new bookings and those types of things. Looking back now, I'm like, I should have taken zero new bookings for over a month. That would have been smarter than what I was
Mhm.
doing. But I was limiting it just not as much as I should have been. And so we have to like make that shift. I feel like I just tangented and did not answer your question.
No, but I feel like this is the reality for travel advisors who are stuck. Like they know exactly what you're feeling. And to hear that you've been able to kind of like come on the other side of that, because I feel like organizing your inbox probably had a big impact on whittling you down from 60 to 20 hours a week. Would you say that too?
Yeah, the inbox is like one of the easiest and first ways that you can start getting control back.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that I think we don't realize is that the inbox is the number one place. And we know this, right? We spend all day in our inbox, and at the end of the day, we're like, what did I even do? I used to feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
Now I never feel that way, thanks to having like inbox zero every single day, and my assistant does help me manage it. When she's out, I can do it on my own. I used to do it, but she makes it so much easier.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, but with that, your inbox, it's like your house. And it's like everybody when the email was invented, like we started with you've got mail, and it was an
Yeah.
email from a personal friend or something like that. It was not this thing where you signed up for 50 million different emails to get from Bed Bath and Beyond and Amazon and Walmart and
Right.
every single supplier under the sun that sometimes sends like 5 emails in one day, every single day of the week. And so our inboxes just get pummeled. There's just so many people, and it's like you have no door, so everybody's just walking in your house. Hey, how are you? Give me your attention. Give me your attention. You're not in control.
Yeah.
We've lost control because our inbox is just overwhelming. And so one of the easiest things to recognize is once we see, okay, my inbox is overwhelming. I do not have processes in place to keep it organized. Then we have to go, how do we do it different? The most common ways people try to do it differently is guilty of this method as well. I tried this back in the day. Create a second email account, one for suppliers, one for clients.
Ooh.
It sounds good, right?
Ooh, you just gave me I'm writing something. I'm writing a note down to talk in the
Okay.
future. But yeah,
It's
good
it's
in
not
theory.
good because then you miss important emails because you focus on the client email address and the suppliers are sending you stuff that you may miss, which could
Hmm.
cause major problems for your clients. And it's really more like you bought a lake house. So now you have to have two of everything
Yeah.
instead of just like one house that you put a door on. Now you got two houses without doors on them.
Hmm.
You got to go back and forth between them. And so that one's really common. The starring method is so common. Oh my gosh. Because I used to do that one too. It'd be like, oh, I got to be able to come back to this email. So I'd star it. And then I had like
Oh yeah.
5,000 starred emails.
I was
And
like,
you're like
you think it
scrolling.
sounds good, but when
It does
everything
in the
gets
moment.
starved.
You're like, well, there went that. And the reality too is like inboxes were not designed for how we use them today.
Yeah.
They haven't really changed since they came out.
Yeah.
And emails come in, but there's no sense of priority because they're just coming in, and the newest email goes on top, and the older ones go on the bottom, and they sink down. And then you've got all these promo emails, and they try and come out with solutions like Google has the like promos side and the regular one. I had to turn that off because it stressed the crap out of me because it
Yeah.
didn't always get it right, and then you miss something, or now it's just two places I have to manage.
Right.
So that felt more overwhelming. And so we come up with all these ways to try to fix it, but they don't work because the reality is we haven't changed that we now have a door with a lock.
Hmm.
And so to get to that point, we have to start thinking of our inbox as just a part of our day, a part of our business that we need a workflow for. And when I say workflow, I don't mean this big, overwhelming thing. I
Right.
literally just mean a specific set of steps that we follow every single day so that we are in control and we decide what emails get our attention and what we're spending our time on. Because when we don't do that, new stuff just keeps coming in and it starts taking our attention.
When you said that it's like a house without a door, I started thinking about that Harry Potter scene when all of the mail, like the owls are trying to get like the Hogwarts letter to Harry, and like you just see this pile of envelopes everywhere. That's how I kind of feel the inbox feels sometimes because everybody is just sending you everything and you're just sitting here or doing your work and you're like, where did all this come from? Like, how
And
did this happen?
and on top of that, when they come in, they're noisy. A lot of people still have like the notifications on
Oh,
so that
yeah.
you tells you when you get a new email. The science shows that every time that happens, you're doing context shifting and you lose 23 minutes of focus.
Yeah.
And as somebody that this year was diagnosed with ADHD, didn't know I had that, man. Life makes a lot more sense now. But that's like the worst thing you can do is do
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
so, like, one of the huge things we can do to take back control is turning off those notifications. I don't get them on my phone or my computer because if we turn them off, I guarantee you the agents are checking their email all the time, anyways, because
Yeah.
we care about our clients and our business. It
Yeah.
is not going to make a difference because if it's a client that's traveling and has an urgent situation, they're going to text or call you.
That was one of the first things I did when I went full time into entrepreneurship is like my phone is always silent. It's not until like I know like yesterday I had it off silent because I knew a doctor's office was going to call me, but it is always on silent because I still get notifications, but I keep it that way so I can do work but not be distracted by like the noise of the notification. I don't even have vibrate on because I'm like, no distraction. So I feel like that might be like one of the first good steps, along with like maybe just completely turning off notifications. Where else is kind of like an easy, quick win if somebody's trying to get a hold of the thousands of emails that came in today?
Yeah, so one of the most important things, and that I really go into this like in depth in the Inbox Zero challenge because it's so important, is we have to be able to group like tasks together.
Hmm.
This helps with losing time with context shifting,
Hmm.
but it also just helps our brains.
Hmm.
And so, if we instead of coming to our inbox and just dealing with the emails, if we instead start our day by going in and moving them into a couple designated folders, maybe one is like reply, one is like review later, one is, schedule meetings. If we take and drag those emails into there, we group those tasks together. So now when I go to schedule meetings with my clients, I just have to open my calendar once and I respond to all of them at the same time. So I just save significant time because I grouped those tasks together.
Hmm.
And the other thing about when we do that is a lot of people are always like, but now you're opening the email twice. Isn't that more work and those kinds of things? But it's actually not because you open the email twice, but you only decided what to do with it once. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I used to like read an email and be like, oh gosh, I gotta go look up their booking and figure this out and whatever. And I'd be like, coming back to that later.
Yeah.
And then I would have to open it again and make another decision instead of if I moved it into a folder that say called like, you know, actions required, where I know it's going to take me 20 or 30 minutes to figure this out and reply to somebody. Now I actually made that decision and I know I have to go through that. But once we stop living in the inbox, if we start using a folder method and are able to go down through it every single day and use that, is where we get our tasks. So like I always start my day by going through them. It's like, okay, I'm going to do the replies, then I'm going to go schedule my meetings. And if you work your way through it, you can ignore all the new stuff that's coming in because you know that you made the choice. This is your time. and you're going to do what's most important to you in your business instead of dealing with everybody else's stuff.
Yeah. How would you say that you have like your inbox organized? Like when you're talking about the folders, because I feel like one of the easiest ways, or at least to start when you have some of the organization is like by supplier or by like these are client emails. But is that
Yeah,
the right approach or how do you think is oh
it's it's not the best. And
uh-huh.
this is one of the things we also do to try and like fix our email problem. And it works in the beginning of our travel business. It really
Uh-huh.
works great. It's like the folder for every client and
Yeah.
every trip. And you got a naming system, like last name, first name, month, destination, whatever it is. That was mine. And what happens is when your business grows and you now have hundreds of clients, you don't ever go look for that folder to find the emails for them because there's so many to scroll through.
Yeah.
So instead, if you actually stop and think about it, you search for it. Use the search bar, and then it pops up the email you're looking for. And so it's so much better instead of having that, have one that's like client emails 2025 or 2026 or whatever. So they're all in one. So you're just searching in one folder,
Hmm.
and those kinds of things can make a really big difference. Another thing that can be a huge help, and this is something I didn't even put together until like the last year. And when I did, I was like mind blowing. I was like, what have I been doing? I realized that what we can do is when we unsubscribe from something, that's not enough. Because if you unsubscribe from something and then you get an email from them 8 months later after a conference,
That's so annoying.
right? So when you unsubscribe, you also have to go create a filter that then takes that email address and you filter it to a folder called unsubscribe so that even if you go to that conference and they resubscribe you, you can choose when to go see it or not. That's like your door. That filter is literally putting it over here and going, hey, when you have time and want to look at me, I'm here. But they can't barge in anymore and fill up our inbox.
Hmm. That's a brilliant tip. I've never thought about something like that, but yeah, it's oftentimes where we unsubscribe or Google recently added like at the very top of the
Yep,
emails where like you can click unsubscribe, but I'm like, that doesn't really work though. Like you have to go into the email, click
yep,
their link, and then unsubscribe.
yep.
That is a really neat tip because that's been one of my favorite features has been using that filter feature to like just have automatic emails. So like one of the automatic emails that get sent out, and this was because of all the email changes that happened in the past year or so. So like the DMARC reports that come into your inbox, I'm like, those are going to be filtered. Those are already going to be auto read because I don't need to go in them. It's just like something for security
Yep.
that the inboxes have to send. So it just goes into that DMARC folder. It's filtered. I already mark them as read. So like I don't even have to bother with those emails.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And the thing too is something like that, it sounds like a lot of work in the moment. I know it does because you're already drowning and overwhelming, but if you take the 2 or 3 minutes it takes each time you
Mhm.
unsubscribe to do that extra step, it will save you from coming back in 6 months or 8 months after the next conference and doing it again.
Yeah.
And so you're actually going to save a ton of time because you're not going to get those emails barging in and taking up your brain space and taking your time. You get to choose when you look at them. And the thing too is like our inbox is powerful if we
Mhm.
take control of it. If we don't, it's like we're working for it and we're letting our clients and suppliers tell us what to focus on instead of deciding like I'm the CEO of my business. I'm going to choose how and what I spend my time on every day.
Mhm. How would you, because I'm thinking about travel advisors getting like all these supplier emails every day, all day, and thinking you're probably subscribed to email lists that you don't even sell that product, have no desire to sell that product. Like, would you recommend having like an unsubscribe day almost like where you just dedicate a day, maybe like annually or biannually, where you just unsubscribe to everything that's no longer like in your viewpoint in your agency? Or do you feel like it's better to do it case by case?
So it really depends. When we go through the inbox challenge with people, we have them, one of the days that is the focus is
Okay.
unsubscribing. And so each day is like a 15-minute approximately training. I think there's one day that's a little less and one day that's a little more, but they're not long. And each day, like the what you do takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, if you've got like 500,000 emails, it's probably going to take you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But it's not going to take that long because we literally make it so that we've had somebody go through 294,000 emails in a week and get to zero and learn how to maintain it.
Oh, holy
And you hit
moly.
zero on day four, not day five. Day five, you're like living differently and learning how to maintain it. And so
That's
with
nuts.
that, the unsubscribing, like you could set a whole day aside. I tend to think like do some of it, but you're really going to do it as you go. But here's the thing that like last night I had a call that was part of our Gold Couch series, Get Your Shit Together, and it was on inbox management. And I asked them, and somebody was brave enough to talk because I'm like, guys, come on, you can do this. I know you can interact. And I said, so what do you do when the client emails you and says, hey, I want to go to Sandals and I think I want to go to this property? I was like, do you go to this most recent, like, how do you go look up the current specials? None of them go to their inbox. They go to the Sandals website and you
Huh.
look at them on the website because it's the most current and accurate information, right?
Interesting.
And it's subconscious. We don't think about it, but almost everyone does. I think out of like a ton of people that were there, I think there was two people that said they looked for the email.
That is fascinating because I'm like, I feel like the email would be the first point of contact to be like, oh, I just saw this.
Yeah. But most of the time, that's what we think. It's why we stay subscribed because we're like, I don't want to miss this. But the reality is, when that client reaches out about a property, even if you don't sell it all the time, you're going to go to their website or their TA portal. And that's where they're going to have the most current information.
Hmm.
And so you can, I'm not saying you should, you can unsubscribe from a lot,
Hmm.
but then have like filters that take things that are your most common sellers. Like if you do a lot of river cruises, then let those river cruise emails go into
Right.
like suppliers I sell and let them all go in there from AMA and from Viking and from Avalon and all of them.
Hmm.
But those types of things can make a really big difference. But really, I think we stay subscribed to more than we actually need
Right. Yeah, I
because we
agree.
think we're going to go back and look at it, but we don't typically.
That's so true. That's so true. Like when I think about things, because it's funny, we did summer camp at sea in July and I cleared out so much stuff and I unsubscribed from so many things. And then I'm like, oh, they just keep climbing up. So I'm definitely going to implement that unsubscribe and then also start looking things that I'm currently subscribed to. Do I really need to be subscribed to, or is it like an account that I'm always on their social media and their stories and
Yep,
hearing what's happening?
yep, exactly.
That also not we're not going to dive in there because I could geek out on this, but that's also the reason why you should be marketing in a couple different channels so that people can like go to your preferred avenue as well.
Exactly, because it's like some people they are overwhelmed by their inbox so they don't see it. But if you're also on Instagram or Facebook or these other places posting, they're going to see you, so it helps with that top of mind. I heard a stat recently. I do not remember the exact number, but it's like we used to say it's like 7 to 10 times, right, for somebody to buy after
Right.
they've
Yep.
like been in contact with you. I heard some stat that because of like the changes with social media and how fast our response times are to things, that it's now like in the 30s. Like you have to be in front of somebody 30 some
Oh,
times for them to think about buying from you now.
I hadn't heard that one. I've heard like over 20 at least now, but wow.
It could have been over 20. I'm
30's
not gonna
well 30's a
promise it's
lot.
30. It could have
Yeah.
been 20. But I know I was like jaw dropped on the floor, like, oh
Yeah.
crap.
It's
Like
more,
you
definitely more
have to
than
show up
seven.
in a bunch of places now.
Yeah. I know we're talking about like the different filter features. We've talked about folders. Are there any other inbox features that we might be underutilizing or even perhaps not even aware that they're available that can make this easier?
Yeah, so one would be a lot of people think about the like, it's called different things in like Outlook and Gmail, but like the auto response vacation notice or whatever is like, I put that on when I go on vacation. But the reality is, if we're going to put a door on our house, we have to communicate that the door exists and that we're not ignoring people,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it's like if you use your auto reply, mine is on every single day. Every client that sends me an email gets an email back saying, hey, we will respond within 2 business days. We've got
Okay.
your email. Thank you. Those types of things. And there's information like if somebody's traveling, it tells them what to do and that kind of stuff. And obviously, we're going to prioritize the client that's traveling. But it's like if I had a house and I put a sign on my door being like, hey, I'll be XYZ. Like, it's just part of good communication. Clients get mad when they don't know what to expect.
Right.
But if I set that expectation up front where it's like, hey, I am not at your beck and call. I'm not going to be responding within 15 minutes of every email you send me anymore. Because there's this massive pressure that we all feel because I think of social media, phones. We feel like we have to be available all the
All the
time
time.
and respond like instantaneously to things. It's like stressful if we don't, but if we first communicate, like, hey, this is how I work and this is how my process works, then we don't have to anymore.
Hmm.
Then we can actually take control. We can work through our folders. We can do all of those things so that we are deciding when we spend time on something instead of everybody telling us when we must do things
Right.
and us feeling like we have to do it instantly for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even those, I feel like sometimes I get so many of those autoresponder ones too that I'm like, well, maybe those could be something like if you do happen to get a lot of those, that could be something that you filter as well, especially if you're looking
There's
for some like response back on
Yep.
something.
There is something I don't remember because it's been a long time since I did it. There is something tricky you have to do if you're going to set up some filter like that because if you don't do it right, it's going to filter other stuff too, like that
Everything, yeah.
shouldn't be. But it's been a long time since I did that.
Yeah, yeah, because I know there's so many things that you could filter on. So, yeah, because everybody's a little different. Hmm.
Yeah.
If you could create your own email system or talk to the powers that be at like Google or Yahoo or any of the other email providers, what would you tell them, or what would be the features that you would request to make inbox zero happen on like a more automated basis?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have not thought about that, but off the top of my head, I think one of the biggest things would be I really wish there was an easier, well, okay, this is going to sound dumb, but one of the biggest problems that exist in inboxes is with Outlook. In the last year, I kid you not, they got rid of the ability to, if you search for something, like let's say I search for Viking at Viking.com,
Hmm.
I can only select 50 emails or however many on the page at the time. I cannot select all. Wild. They did some update and went away with it. And so it is like horrible for anyone in Outlook because if you're trying to like clear out your inbox,
Right.
search feature is really helpful and that makes a major issue for you. That's the first thing I would say needs to be changed. Like
Uh-huh.
you should be able to select all. Like
Right.
that's dumb. The other one I would say for automating is maybe just for it to be more user friendly to set up a filter. I think filters scare people a
Hmm.
lot. It feels like, "Ooh, what if I miss something?" And there is truth behind it because if you set it up wrong,
Yeah.
it will go to the wrong place and you could miss something important. So like I would never do a filter. I do a lot with journeys and I would never do a filter that's like at journeys.com is the filter. It has to be the full email address because if I did then final documents could go to the wrong place
Right.
or something important. So I think the biggest thing would be making filters to be easier. I get asked a lot like, am I using AI in my inbox and those types of things? I'm not right now because as much as I
Okay.
like AI and I use it in a lot of other areas, I feel like my inbox is too important for me to trust something that isn't a human.
Okay.
Um, at least to make decisions on like what's important and what's not important.
Okay.
Um, right now. Do I think it's coming? Yeah, I'm sure there will be a point, but I'm not there yet. And
Mhm.
so that part I'm like, I don't need a bot that's like organizing it for me. I'm great with like, let's make filtering easier, those types of things.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you had tried out Superhuman because I think that's the most popular AI to kind of get a hold of your inbox right now.
I tried it. Um, it's been a little bit since I did it. I didn't love it. And some
Okay.
of it's probably because I like control. And so it didn't do it how I
Like
exactly would want it.
that's a
It's,
common problem around
yeah.
here.
So I was like, yeah, nope. I was like, not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of filtering too, because I know that there's a hack sometimes that people use, and that's using like their regular email address and then adding a plus before the at sign. Is
Yep.
that something that you use or that you recommend doing?
I love doing it. I think one
Okay.
of the biggest problems we have is that most people don't start doing it when they start their business.
Right.
And so it would be so, if you're like new, oh my gosh, every supplier you sign up with should be like your name at plus sign at yourbusinessname.com.
Yeah.
Because like, and the plus sign, like put an S behind it for like supplier or something, because then you could easily filter some of those things. Or the ones where you're like, this is a supplier, don't use that much. Because yeah, it's a really powerful tool. It for a lot of us, like for me, I look back and I'm like, it would take me forever to go update my email address with all those suppliers to
Right.
that. And so I just am like, I'm not going back and starting over. But if I was newer in the industry, heck yes, I would be doing that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I only knew about that a couple years ago, and I'm like, where was this when I was first starting to be
Yeah.
doing like Rita plus lead magnets or Rita plus um, agency or Rita plus
Yeah.
clients or whatever it might be.
Yep. And then it makes it easier to search for them too.
Right, right. Yeah, because I feel like that's, and it's easier to filter them if you have that other one, because you can say whatever email goes to this address with the plus sign,
Yep.
just whisk it away over there.
Yep. Exactly.
What other steps do you feel are kind of like necessary when we're creating like this workflow? And I know I'm sure that you have a lot of different steps in there, but I know we had first mentioned kind of like getting a lay of the land, but what would you say is another important one to address?
Um, I think one of the big things that we have to be sure that we're doing is if we don't first get to zero and feel like it's under control, we're never going to get there and maintain it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that weight of like knowing you have 5,000 emails in your inbox and a bunch are unread, it just like is literal weight on you. Agents
Yeah.
go through the inbox challenge and I hear all the time, you don't know how much relief I feel. I feel like I'm no longer carrying 100 of bricks around. And it's like wild because it's like, yeah, we deal with it every day. And so I think one of the big things is to me, I think a huge one is accountability. Whether you go through an inbox challenge or you tell your friend like, "Hey, let's do this together." And you go through and get your inbox to zero, like accountability makes a huge difference in actually getting things done.
Hmm.
The other thing that I think is really important is you have to not worry about every single email from the standpoint of like, oh my gosh, what if like some people have a fear of deleting. I
Okay.
secretly do. I hate deleting.
I know.
I'm like, I keep all emails for 7 years. It's what you keep for the IRS. Might
Yes.
as well for my
Yeah.
inbox.
I do
No
the
idea why
same.
I decided that's the right number, but it's what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
so with that, like if you're that scared about it, if you're that worried, then make a folder for delete and put all the things there.
Hmm.
And just like realizing too, you have to do what works for you and your brain.
Hmm.
Like in the challenge, I show people like these are the folders I use, but I'll never forget like about a year ago, I was talking with an agent and she was like, I'm just really struggling with this folder and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, then don't use it. I was like, you need to make it yours. You need to personalize it. You don't have to do it
Exactly.
exactly like me. And I think that freedom to realize like you can do it how it works for you and your brain. But the most important thing is you have to get to zero, but then you have to choose to live differently because it
Mm,
is not natural.
yeah.
Every time you open your inbox and that new email pops up, you better believe you're going to be so tempted to go like read it,
Yeah.
or you're going to want to just go, oh, I can reply to this really quick. Well, you just did context shifting and lost 23 minutes by doing that.
Mm,
And if we don't choose to do it differently, we are not going to stick with it. Our
yeah.
inbox will explode again. That's like one of the number one things. It's like you can get your inbox to zero. Lots of people do. They just go and they move all the emails to some folder that says zero and then the date, right?
Mhm.
It's like, I made it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you're not going to manage it differently and work differently, you're just going to end up in the same problem in 6 months or however many months down the road. And so, really deciding you're going to do it different is one of the biggest things. I don't know if you're one of these people, but I am the person that like I go to the grocery store and when the person is there with their like beautiful list that's organized by sections of the grocery store, I'm like envious. I'm like, I wish I
Wow.
was that person. I will never be that person,
I'm not that
but
person.
go them, right?
Right.
Those people are so smart because what are they doing? They're saving so much time. They go to the dairy section to get all the dairy things. They get the sour cream and the milk and the butter and all the things at once. Versus me, I show up and I'm like, oh, I guess I need butter now. And so I'm going over there. And now I go over and I get tomatoes. And now I'm back to get ice cream by the dairy section again.
Yeah.
Like, and I have to, like, if I wanted to change that in my life, I would truly have to do it differently. I couldn't just one time be like, I'm only going to look at my list, and even if it's not organized, I'm only going to get the dairy things right now.
Right.
I would have to do it differently every time consistently until it became my natural instinct,
Yeah.
until it became a habit, something that I was used to doing. And so I think a lot of times we struggle to do that because it doesn't feel natural or normal. It feels weird. It feels hard. We don't like those feelings of being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
But if we don't get uncomfortable, it's never going to get better.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Because it kind of goes back to what you were saying in the beginning that things had to change for you. Because I'll never forget, like, that's the my come to Jesus moment was like, I have been wanting to make this business full time for the longest time. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. What I'm currently doing is obviously not working. So you have to do different things. I forget like what the quote is, but you have to do different things if you want different results and sometimes better results as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, too, like, this year for every year for our anniversary, we spend time really thinking through like what was the last year. And okay, I should say Robbie and I's wedding anniversary, not like a business anniversary.
Uh-huh.
Because we get to work together. And so we think about this past year and then like what are we wanting for the next year? And this year, one of our conversations really revolved around like purpose and like how do we make an impact and like actually help people because one of my business coaches, her definition of purpose was using the best of what you have to help others,
Hmm.
which I like loved. I was like, that is like something I can actually get behind
Yeah.
versus some of the like big long ones and all the things. And so we were talking and we're like, okay, what can we actually like what do we actually have that will make a difference for everyone? Because will assistance at work and going through our signature program change your life? 100%. I can list off tons of people that have done it and they are like, my life is completely changed now. My family no longer is mad at me because I spend every night working on the couch.
Yeah.
And my kids actually see me attend their events and watching them, not on my phone the whole time. And as we talked about, I was like, that's a great thing that we're able to help people with, but not everybody needs an assistant. Not
Hmm.
everybody's ready for one. Some people are still in the growth phase, those types of things. But the one thing all the travel agents have involved and we all have in common is our inbox
Yep.
because we all are using it. And for almost every single person, they would say it is one of their areas that takes up a ton of their time. If we want to get our lives back, we we have to get our inbox under control to
Hmm.
be able to do that. And the funny part is like the inbox challenge literally came out of when I was working with agents in the very first iteration of Assistants at Work. We realized pretty quickly that like for them to have their assistant help them with their inbox, they had to be doing their email differently. And like I was doing it, I mean, it didn't have to be the exact same, but they had to have a workflow for it for an assistant to be able to follow. And so it was this eye opener of like, wow, if all these people could do it differently, it would change everything. And so our goal, I'm still like, I don't know how the heck we're gonna do this. So don't know, but we're gonna try. Our goal is by the end of 2026, we want to have 5,000 agents go through the Inbox Challenge and have more time in their lives because it would change everything. Every person that goes through it and does it saves a minimum, and this is definitely on the minimum side, of an hour a day.
Hmm.
If you take that across the entire year, in just 5 day work weeks, I don't have the math memorized, but it's like 3.5 8 hour work days that you get back just from doing the
Crazy.
inbox challenge. That's for one person. And then when we were like, okay, what would that look like if 5,000 agents experienced that? It's over 1.3 million hours saved.
Wow.
It's like wild. And it's one of those things where we always feel like, well, I don't have time for that right now. I've got clients that are about to travel and all these other things that are more important.
Hmm.
But what we're really saying is, I'm not important.
Hmm.
Me having control over my inbox, over my life and my time, and doing something for myself that will give me benefits for years to come isn't important. And
Yeah.
that's not true because we matter.
Yeah.
We are important. We didn't get into this business just to serve people. We did it because we wanted XYZ, whether it's more time in our lives, freedom to be able to do XYZ with our family, whatever your reason is, you didn't get into it because you didn't care about yourself.
Hmm. And I think there's a couple of us that are kind of on that mission. Like, we don't want to hear travel advisors saying, I worked a 16-hour day today and like wear it as a badge of pride. We're trying to break that for the modern travel advisor.
Yes, that needs to freaking go in the trash and burn.
Yes.
It's bad because it has been. But the sad thing is, what's the point? Like, I'll never forget going on a top agent trip, and one of the advisors that was like, one of the top three or something, they spent the entire time in their room working outside of the mandatory event parts of the trip.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what? So why are you even here?
Yeah.
Like what's the point? If we're gonna work so much that we can't ever be off, we're not experiencing anything related to why we probably got into this business in the first place. I
Mhm.
sure didn't get into it to become a workaholic,
Yeah.
and work 24/7. And I think that the okay, I'm gonna say something and people are gonna be pissed at me, but I'm gonna say it anyways. All right. We all have fallen for a really big lie. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We get envious of the people that are top performers with, I'm going to make up names like AIC or Sandals or Royal Caribbean or whoever, because they invite their people to this top agent retreat
Uh-huh.
or top agent fam, whatever you want to call it, award ceremony. And we're like, oh my gosh, I just want to be them someday, right? Like when you're new, that's what you're thinking. Or you didn't make that one, so you're sad because you wanted to go to that property.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, do you know why they're doing that? They're doing it because they want you to come so that you experience their property, but they are doing it because they want you to sell more of them.
Right.
They don't care that you're working way too many hours. They are wanting us to do volume to
Hmm.
help them. I'm not against the suppliers. I think the suppliers are amazing and having real partnerships with them is the way to go.
Yeah.
But if we continue down this path of thinking that the ultimate definition of success is making those trips, we bought a lie. You
Mm.
don't have to go on an award trip to be successful.
Yeah.
That's the industry's definition of success, is that those agents that go to that are successful. But
Ooh.
what's your definition of success for yourself? Because mine does not look like that anymore.
Ooh, you're speaking my language there, and I have thought about this, but I'm like, I'm just gonna save that idea for another day because we also have that super big announcement because today is officially day one of Travel Industry Black Friday, the third annual Travel Industry Black Friday. And I am just so excited to kick it off today. Mary Beth, I know that you're presenting partner this year. Can you give us the goods on what your contribution might be to Travel Industry Black Friday this year?
Yeah, so this year, I'm super excited because we're doing things a little bit different than we have in the past for Black Friday. And we have bundles. And so the entire point is to not just be like, hey, we want to help you with one thing. It's like my our mission is to help people build that solid foundation, right? Like we talked about at the very beginning. And to do that, you have to have workflows. You have to have your inbox under control. You have to have those types of things in place so that you can be successful as you grow and you don't end up with the business that's like hodgepodge, like paper mache taped together
Yeah,
kind of
post-it
thing.
notes.
Yeah, post-it notes everywhere. And so with that, we sat down and we were like, okay, what are the things that would be like super helpful for advisors? And so the bundles are literally based upon that. There's one that's related to workflows. There's one that's related to like becoming the CEO of your business. We
Nice.
even have one that is like a literally everything we have one that I'm super excited about. We
Ooh.
also have a brand new course that's dropping that's included in a couple of the bundles that comes out like right before Black Friday, which is going to be awesome. And Bang and I did that one together and had so much fun.
Yay.
It is really all about how do you hire, like how do you interview well, those types of things. There's like
That's
mock interviews of Bang and I together, which are
that's
kind of
awesome.
comical.
And for those that don't know, Bang is your virtual assistant.
Yes, she's one of my assistants. So she's my assistant that focuses on assistants that work with me, and then I have two assistants that help in my travel business. And so every single one of the bundles is at least 30% off or more.
Nice.
So the minimum is 30% off, but depending on the bundle, some of them are even higher than that.
Nice. That is super cool. And I love this event because travel advisors are able to find resources. Because I feel like when we think about Black Friday, we think about like all the goodies and the presents that we can buy for ourselves or for our family, but we don't think about our businesses. So that's kind of like the whole premise behind it's the only directory within the travel industry that you can kind of find. There's going to be over 20 participants this year. And not only that, so you can get like special offers, but we also have a goodie bag with free resources. Do you by chance remember what's your contribution in the goodie bag?
Our goodie bag is related to workflows. It's actually something we normally charge for. So
Okay.
I think we gave you either a discount code or like a super special link that's just for Black Friday for that because it's literally going, hey, these are a lot of times people hear like, okay, I need a workflow. What the heck does that mean? How do I do it? I remember years ago, people would be like, do you have a workflow? And I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, I know what to
Right.
do next. It's in my head. But I always tell people if it's in your head, might as well be dead. Nobody
Oh,
else is going to be able to help with that. It's stuck, and you are now the bottleneck in your business.
yes.
And so the goodie bag one, it's literally like the 100 workflows that you should be implementing in your business because also workflows help us see what we can automate
Uh-huh.
because we can look at it and go, oh, I'm doing this. I bet you I could have my CRM set up this email to be sent at XYZ time for each of my clients, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And so that is what we have in the goodie bag.
Nice. Where can people connect with you also before we jump off?
So we have I can send you a link if you want to link it. We have a Facebook community that
Nice.
I do a lot of stuff in and love because I get to hang out and help and advise and coach travel advisors every single day in there. And then I also am on an Instagram. And it's just like literally my name. It's just Mary Beth Lynn is my, I don't know what they're called, handles. I'm not a good social
Yeah,
media.
username.
Thank you. Username. I am literally the most non social media, like before I became a travel advisor, I was off of social media. I had spent an
Oh
entire
yeah.
year with none. Loved it. And then I was like, oh crud. I'm still in travel. I have to be on social media. So,
Yeah.
and now I've
Yeah.
learned to embrace it.
Yeah,
My
I was
most
gonna say you
recent
do good.
my most recent motto this year is social media is my job. It's
Yeah.
not optional. It's part of my job.
And it can be fun.
It
You
can.
cannot
I am
overcome the
learning how to
yeah.
enjoy it more and more the more I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching something today. Somebody was like, oh, here's an example of what to do. And I'm like, that's too much work. Like, I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna
Yeah.
do something like that. I'll do something else that's easier.
You can make it super simple. Like my
Yeah.
biggest problem has always been that like I hate writing, always
Mhm.
have. It's like not one of my strengths.
Mhm.
But the more I've done it and been like, I don't have to, it doesn't have to be super awesome or super special. It can just be me.
Yeah.
And if that's not good enough for someone, then that's okay. They
Then
don't
bye
have
bye.
to be in my world.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing. I know I got a couple mic drop moments on my end, so I'm excited to start implementing myself. But we really appreciate your time and also can't wait to see you at all the things for Black Friday this next week.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Rita, for having me.
You're welcome. And travel advisors, we will see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.